Snakes on a plane doesn't have shit when it comes to having a stand on a plane that's out to get you and can track movement, and it doesn't matter if you throw that bastard out the window, since the plane is the fastest moving object, it will always come back. Now, this episode, at first, I was like, okay, this is a very horror-designed episode, and I thought that was pretty impressive that it was able to feel so horror-like, but still have that JoJo style and charm that we all know and love and have come to appreciate. But when we see just how damaged most of the crew is, I mean, Giorno has lost both of his arms, and the only way that his stand or any of the stands can really work is if the fist can touch things, and if they have no arms, Giorno's out of the game. All the characters past maybe Bruno and Abbacchio might be out of this game, so like, how do you proceed forward? But I wasn't really worried in that instance because I did catch the ladybug fall off of his coat before he lost his arm out the window, so I was like, okay, that probably will regrow an arm or something like that, so I wasn't really worried, but I did like seeing how Bruno was truly scared that most of his crew was gone. It wasn't that they were mostly useless and that's why he was scared, it was he was really blaming himself. So I thought that was a good moment even though I wasn't personally worried. When we see Notorious B.I.G come back, that's when I started to shit my pants because holy hell, right now it's up to Trish to find a way to not let herself get killed but also keep the focus on her while the hand regenerates. If that's not frightening, I don't know what is. The boss of this gang is the most terrifying and most powerful stand I think we've seen up to date. However, this situation being trapped on a moving plane, I actually think is the most terrifying scene and situation these characters have ever been in. Especially because we only have a couple of stand users who can currently fight, we have a stand that can track any movement, at least the fastest of the movements. How do you defeat that? I don't know, and that makes me excited because it definitely feels like Trish will have her chance to shine and see what her stand could possibly be. The entire setup to this episode was pretty interesting, especially because we have this very disgusting looking stand user approaching the plane, and he gets taken out so easily, but I like how some characters are thinking, well, that's just how it is, while we have characters like Giorno being like, this doesn't make sense. You know, miss the Sex Pistols, that's a strong stand, but why didn't he fight back? And my theory of where this stand was going to go was possibly that it'd be like a clone, like maybe every time you kill him, he gets stronger and he comes back or something like that. I wasn't expecting that the stand's ability was kind of catered towards the stand user dying and then the stand tracking the fasting moving thing. Like, it's such a perfect stand for the situation that you would think, like, of course, send this guy after the group when they're trying to get on a plane. They wouldn't be able to escape. Other stand users, they wouldn't be able to keep up with a plane moving in the sky, but send a guy whose stand is relying on being killed and tracking the fastest moving object. That's absolutely ridiculous, and I love it. I love how just over the course of the episode, things are starting to click more and more, while still being pretty damn creepy. They really direct this to be half horror and half JoJo is how I'd put it, because you have the typical overreactions, you have some funny scenes, but for the most part, like, things are getting creepier and creepier the more you get into this plane. Opening up the freezer, seeing that there's fingers, seeing that there's writing on the wall. Who the hell's writing it? It's actually Giorno, but why is Giorno writing this? What's going on? To then the reveal of the stand being there, and the user was supposed to die all along. Seeing every single character try something new, try to figure out how they can defeat it, thinking it's not that dangerous because there's more of them than there is this stand, and it seems like it's rather slow, but really, it's just tracking the movements. I really appreciate how JoJo can find new and interesting ways not only to expand stands, but also expand the story and style of storytelling that you want to see in a part. Like, this was very much a horror episode, while also incorporating a new style stand that I don't think we've seen up till now. I'm pretty sure that this is the first time the stand users died in order for its stand to work. That's pretty damn cool, and it really makes you feel terrified for the future of this cast because, yes, currently it looks like Giorno could get a hand back, but right now Trish doesn't understand her powers, doesn't understand how to do it, and if she jumps or moves around too much, she'll just get killed. How do you defend that? And I don't know. That's what makes this terrifying and so intense. Bruno is someone who deeply cares for his crew and would gladly give up his own life before asking any of them to give up theirs. So to see just his kind of hatred for himself, wanting to be the one to sacrifice a limb, not Giorno, but Giorno realizing that there was no time, like, you see so much blame and just discontent in his eyes, and you really want to give the man a hug. There's so much confusion of what's going on with his body right now. He keeps getting wounded, but he's not actually bleeding. Characters like Trish are recognizing this, but even with all these changes and how weird and maybe not human his body currently is, he still is the same Bruno we know and love, and that's what's so painful, that even though we might have saw that the ladybug dropped on the floor, he didn't. He truly believes that he just got most of his crew completely wiped out, and they won't be able to live their day-to-day lives as they have been up till now. Like, seeing that level of blame and kind of hatred for himself, that's what I like to see, because even though Bruno's the boss, kind of Giorno's the unofficial boss right now in this group, and to have him be out of the equation, I think that really hurts Bruno, and it hurts him even more seeing that a majority of his crew were just taken out and they might not survive, and if they do, how will they be able to look at him with the same eyes, because he's the reason they're on that plane. For being such a horror design episode, there was a lot of care and a lot of emotional content wrapped up in the final stretch there, and just for how they kept rising the tension, it's pretty impressive that even though I don't think this stand would be the most powerful stand we've seen, I still think King Crimson is the most powerful stand hands down, this is the worst situation these characters have ever been in. And the fact that we're not even done the series yet, the fact that we have another core left in Golden Wind, the fact that this is so terrifying to me and we haven't even officially beat the boss yet, how worse can this truly get for them, and who are we going to lose along the way? The voice actors were killing it, especially because I like how so many, of course you can on one hand say, why don't they take extra precautions? Why isn't Mista, really double checking? Why is he kind of being a little egotistical, being like, oh, my Sex Pistols are just this strong? Where you only have characters maybe like Giorno who are really taking the extra time to plan things out and be overly careful. But that's kind of in their character, they are gangsters, they have, big head from time to time. And when you see a dead body and an ally stand user is saying there's no life force, there's no real reason to doubt that. You've kind of done all the precautions needed, but I like how each of the characters kind of respond differently and how their voice actors really gave you this sense of confusion, but also kind of mockery, like, oh, Giorno, you wanted me to see a freezer? Oh shit, there's fingers in that freezer, what the hell's going on? Like, you really got a sense that these characters were a little confused, a little happy, a little worried, and then just as things got worse and worse, you could honestly feel the fear in their voice actors, because at first they're like, oh, we can take care of this, but as you see that stand get worse and worse, like, they're kind of shitting their pants, and the viewers shitting their pants, because it's like, okay, we're trapped in a box essentially, floating in the sky, going hundreds of miles per hour, how in the hell do you get away from this? And you don't know if they can, you don't know if there will be casualties here, and that's what's exciting. There's so much cool content in this episode, even before we got the reveal of what the stand could do. Having stands such as Moody Blues be able to replay the past in this plane so they can pilot it, stuff like that's so cool. I love stands such as that. I love Giorno's kind of life ability where he can give life to inanimate objects. Like, it's so cool what he's able to do, and it's so cool what a lot of these stands are capable of, because sure, some have some great combat capabilities, such as Aerosmith, but you have these stands that can be applied both in battle and out of battle, and that's what I love about Part 5. I think when stands were introduced in favor of continuing with Hammond, I think that's what needed to happen for a long-running series, because if you want to continue to evolve your fighting style, you need something that's going to vary from person to person in a lot different ways, and Part 5 is really making the stands, both on the protagonist and antagonist sides, be so terrifying, so cool, and so thought out. And I love how stands such as Moody Blues, they don't just have one cool moment and then call it a day. They're still finding new and interesting ways to apply this stand in a multitude of ways that just continues to impress me. I don't know how next week is going to go down. I don't know how they want to defeat this stand, but the fact that it's still alive and kicking and it responds to movement, that is terrifying, and I can't wait to see where they're going to go next week. I don't think it matters how many times I see an over-exaggerated face in JoJo, the character is just shocked and in awe of what's going on. It doesn't matter, even if it's a similar style to one we've seen before, it always gets me, because it fits the JoJo style so well, because the JoJo anime has a mixture of old school and new school into this very interesting package, and I love seeing this gang of gangsters just being like, what the hell's going on? Sometimes when they're shocked, they're not really feeling fear, but then other times they're absolutely terrified, and the way the anime staff with David Production continues to find new ways to kind of flesh out the over-exaggerated gangster reactions, it really impressed me, especially because this is 5 parts in. There's been over 100 episodes of JoJo now. They're still finding new ways to not only fit these over-exaggerated reactions for this part in this story, but also have it feel familiar to those of past JoJo parts without it really feeling repetitive. Like, that's something you really do have to praise, and you can tell that, like, yes, David Production doesn't always get every single episode and every single part right, but when they really get it right, especially seen with Part 5 with Golden Wind, you can tell they've cracked the formula. They've cracked the code of how to make JoJo flourish in the anime form, not let it drag out too much like Stardust Crusaders, but find the perfect episode count and really make it flourish with maybe fleshing out anime original content, or just taking that manga content and making it so much better And I'm only saying that because I've had so many manga readers say exactly that. I may not have read the manga, but based on the reactions from a majority of the source material readers, I can tell David Production is absolutely crushing it. For everyone, let me know what you thought on this week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Were you as creeped out as me? Or did you find it just not that big of a threat for one reason or another? Let me know whatever you're feeling. And be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.